All right, hey, good morning, folks. We're going to do some Eberron artwork today for the adventure that we're creating, Crystals of Mabar. You can see it here on screen. I'm going to check my signal here real quick, make sure I'm coming through clean. We'll go through a quick update, and then we'll get to work here for a couple hours. So let's see. Checking in here, mic check, mic check. See. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Checking in. That sounds plenty loud. Let's drop that volume down so it doesn't get too intrusive. I want to be able to hear myself at least a little bit so I know if my stream cuts out. But I don't want it to get in the way of me hearing. I don't want to be too loud. Anyway, we'll get started here in a second. If you're already familiar with the channel, you can skip ahead like 30 seconds or something. And we'll be active. That's still a little too loud. I think I'm going to try dropping my master volume down just a touch. See if that helps out. That sounds a little bit better. Okay, great. So for those that don't know, hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish online. And I have been focusing my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition for, let's see. Eberron is a Wizards of the Coast setting. If I want to create content for it and put it out there, it's on the DMsGuild.com. I've been using DMsGuild.com since 2018 to produce content. There is a slew of books that are in the description down below. They all have free previews. Check them out. If you think the stuff that I do is cool, consider picking up something. Let's see. Chunk. That's resolved. That's resolved. And I'll fix my screen. And here on YouTube, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. Here is the entire playlist of all 395 episodes. We created the book cover here about around episode 40, and we did lettering around episode 220, I think. And we'll drop this out of the way. And so we're working on the Undead Horde. And when we last left off, we had put a scepter, that's a Mabaran-shaped scepter in the hand of our Yugoloth Overlord. Let me adjust that angle for... Let's drop it down a little bit. Yeah, I think that's cool. Here's our Undead Horde. Everybody is lined up nicely. There's going to be the necrotic mist that's, you can see here around their feet. It's going to be flowing through the piece. It's going to limit the background visibility, but allow some patches of darkness and some light to filter through. That should be a little bit of fun. Here is our, if we get rid of the mist layer, you can see that I left some incomplete feet down here because you don't need it if they're going to be buried in the mood of the piece. But we are now on to the point where we are creating the color for the piece. So we're going to rummage for some color references. When you're colorblind, like I am, you can't just throw color in because you don't know what color it is. So I think what we're going to do is start with, I think we're going to start with the Yugoloth. Hold on. Let's go into our project here, and let's go fetch, let's see, creatures, cover, creatures and characters. Nothing in here yet. That's right. Creatures and characters. Village folk, Yugoloth. Let's go to our Yugoloth reference, and let's pull reference piece, copy, nope, copy there. I'll take that down to here for our Yugoloth, and let's see. That's a really good piece. There, so I'll be able to color sample off of that We'll start with Yugoloth just so you guys can see how that shakes. We're going to go to here. We're going to go line. And then we do comic book style shading. So we go color. All right, so we'll zoom in and we'll look for a base color. Here's our base is right here. Here is our highlight, and here is a shadow. So we're going to start with this base here. Zoom out, and we're going to simply fill in the space, drop it in as a background. I let this, so when we build these things, I'll have the line art and I have the sketch that came from the line art originally, and I keep the sketch in place with the line art. See, it starts creating natural shadow points on the body as gray tone, which will, I think, the color theory is the shadow washes out a little bit of color, so having a little more gray in there will add, will help reinforce the lighting that we're implementing, as well as add some more variety and texture. So right now all I need to do is just fill in the gaps, and that'll be our base color. And then we can go through and we can do base colors for all the undead to get everybody lined up with, like I said, with their base color. There, that hand fits nicely. So there's a ritual being performed with a artifact called the Eye of Mabar. Eye of Mabar is created from shadow magic, shadow stuff from. I'm still too loud. Hold on. I am far too droney this morning, Phil. You got to perk it up, buddy. Let's get to a point where, but that should do okay. All right, so back on point. Let me take a sip of water. And I'm going to peel back my volume just another touch. How am I doing? Looks like looks like the volume isn't harming the overall effect. I jammed the joint on my microphone boom, so I can't. It's locked up. There's a catching screw. The thing can swivel, and then there's a cinching screw that you screw down and it cinches to the spin, so it can't spin anymore. Apparently, I over tightened it or something, and now it's jammed, and I can't even get it loose with a wrench. I'll have to figure out how to fix that. But its position seems to be okay for what I'm currently doing. I don't think I need that. I think it fits better this way. So fill in all those little bits. So when we finish the line art, we're going to merge the line art and the color together to have them blend. And I'll drop the line art back a bit to have it blend in a little bit more thoroughly with the piece. But that is the flesh color, and then let's see, what is this? Purple, huh? Like it. We like purple. All right, that's a good one. That's pretty good. And then there's yeah, that'll be good. So we'll go with purple overtone. What is this guy doing? It's kind of a leathery red off, like a dull, like you can see over here. 63, 57, 51. It's got a very mild decline, so it's very unsaturated. That makes and it's roughly a leather. I think that looks better than the purple. Yeah, so we're gonna go with that. Yeah, let's go with we'll go with the base red here, and then we'll give them a purple tie. And then once we have the color complete, we just go back to normal blending. But how are we going to have you sit here, buddy? Could go with this. So I stream 5 days per week, Monday through Friday under normal circumstances. It's like around 6:30 to 8. I'm on holiday today, so I decided to sleep in a touch, and we're getting started about an hour later than we normally would. But we're going to play for an hour later than we normally would. So we'll go from 7 whatever till 9 o'clock in Seattle today. That's about another hour of playtime right now. And then we'll be offline for a little bit while I take care of home duties. But we'll be back on around 1:30 Seattle time, which will be in 5.5 hours from now. We'll be back on to work on. I think we're gonna continue working on martial powers today. We got through the. There's 4 subclasses per character class that are included in the 2024 Player's Handbook, and there's like, so that's 13. It's 12 times 4. That's 48. So there's 48 subclasses that are in the 2024 book, and there are 69 subclasses that have been published otherwise, like in Tasha's and Xander and Xanathar and whatever, all the other Splat books. Total of 29 other 69 other subclasses. So we have all the subclasses converted to the martial power system in the playtest document that we share when we stream martial powers. So they're all there, including for the full casters, although it's tangential. So we did the 4 subclass. We reviewed the barbarian and the subclasses that are in the player's handbook for the barbarian yesterday. We're going to do that for fighter today, and if we have time, monk. And then from there, tomorrow, Wednesday, we'll be here in the morning. And then we don't do lunch on Wednesday, either Monday or Wednesday, because I play D&D with my coworkers at lunchtime 1 day per week. So that day this week is Wednesday, so it won't be on Wednesday lunch. But then Thursday, I'll be back on in the morning to do more Eberron art. And Thursday night after work, I'll have a few hours to stream, typically like from 5:30 till 9 Seattle time. We'll work on the Bastion campaign system again, where we're adding depth to the Bastion system that was introduced in the 5e24 DMG. So we got a lot of stuff that's on our plates that's coming up. We also have some Spelljammer subclasses, Spelljammer Mecha Combat. Word I'm trying to use is supplement to add, like it sounds, Mecha Combat to your Spelljammer game, like Spirit Warriors and stuff like that. We have our leather here, our base leather anyway. So let's add in the purple tie. So let's grab this as a base color. That feels good. It's probably going to be very close to what we already have in the leather. Yeah, it's very, very close for me. Since I don't see any color, I'm always working on grayscale. And there's only like a 10% difference between this gray tone and this gray tone. So they're incredibly similar. So what I want to do to help keep those separated from my eyes is we're going to dip into shadow right now for what this shape is, and then we'll just focus on the highlights of it. Here, like this. I have no idea what's going on with this garment. This is just how the muse wanted it made. Solzu is the name of the Emerald Claw cultist, necromancer, that's conducting the ritual to create the manifest zone to Mabar. But what he doesn't know is that the Eye of Mabar itself has a plan, which is during the course of the ritual, a necrotic chrysalis forms around the performer of the ritual. The ritual takes an entire 46 days to complete because it tracks the cycle from new moon to from full moon to full moon for Sephiroth, which is the moon connected to the plane of Mabar. So while Sephiroth is full, you begin the ritual, and then you keep the ritual going for 46 days. While you're performing the ritual, some of the enchantment of the artifact that you're holding, the Eye of Mabar, that makes the ritual happen, prevents you from needing sleep, food, water, while this is conducted. And over the 46 days, the necrotic goop that drips out of the artifact, like tears, and the eye, as it performs the ritual, forms a chrysalis around the ritual caster. And over the course of that, once the chrysalis forms, like in 5 days, for the next 41 days, it liquefies, kind of like a butterfly. It liquefies the caster. And when the ritual completes, it breaks out of the chrysalis like an egg, and it's a Yugoloth. If it completes the ritual, if it fulfills the ritual, then it comes out as an Ultraloth, a leader of the legions, effectively a pit fiend for the Yugoloth party. And I want to get rid of that. Yeah, that feels good. If the ritual is disrupted, it'll come out in a lesser form. And the lesser form that we have for this adventure is an Arcanoloth. It's more of just... it's more like a dog monster than anything. Certainly a lesser evolved form. We're going to add... Let's do it this way. I want to add bracers. So when we merge the color art to the line art, we'll be able to better detail what these bracers are, since I just spontaneously decided it'd be a good idea for them to have bracers. Didn't really plan for it, so we don't have any of the line art for it, but we will freewheel the line art once we start integrating the color into the line art. There's that, and then, hey, what is up? How you doing, Francois? And we're gonna add a purple trim. There we go. So yeah, we'll do Martial Powers Fighter today at lunch, and then Thursday night we'll get back to the Bastions campaign. Both of these projects are coming along really, really nicely. Let's see. Do I want to add? Yeah, that feels right. Let's do that. How you doing today? Brr. Yeah, it's cold here too. It's what are we at? 31 degrees. I'm sure the Bible Belt is absolutely freezing right now. But I grew up in Missouri, so I know the realms of cold, and also spent time in Chicago. So I've had the joyful experience of bitterness. Let's just add this like that. Yeah, that feels cool. there, and we can add. And all this is just going to end up fading out into below. So I'm going to blob it a little bit here. Let the fog release us from responsibility of fleshing out the posture below the waist. That'll be something like this. Feels pretty good. Yeah, that's that's the base colors that we're using on that character, and once we sweep through and get base colors down on everybody, we'll start going back through and detailing stuff. So Yugoloth is okay for there. That's our flats, the flats, and holy Hannah, Chibos. Yeah. There's something about the way that the humidity hangs in the heartland of America that makes cold just absolutely. It's just like it sticks to you and gnaws through your body. It's nasty. The West Coast. I'm in Seattle, obviously. You're talking about Oregon. The West coastline is like really clean. Like weather just kind of pushes off of you as it moves inland, but in the heartland it just stays there, just stays and rots you out. It's great. Let's see. So the next thing we're going to focus on here is the front line, and we're going to detail each of these individually. So I'm going to drop those away. Go to here. We're going to create a line layer here, and then add on extra here, which is color. And let's go find our reference real quick. No. We have some undead art up here, so let's go fetch that. Let's see. Hook patrons, items and oddities, village folk, Yugoloth, monsters. There we go. This is our living grave. This is an ooze that spits out corpses. There's mass graves. Some that are buried in the manifest zone that just get unearthed with undead crawling out. There's also some living graves inside of the cemetery, which we haven't gotten to lately. But the cemetery map has different points on it inside of the bogs. Where these mass graves form and then just start spitting out undead, like gauntlet monster generator style. You have no idea. There's no telling how many undead. Technically, there's a countless number of undead that can come out of this thing until the players engage it. And then they can hack their way to it and destroy the living grave, and then that banishes any more undead from being created from that point. So in the cemetery, there's a total of 4 possible points where living graves can spawn, and they don't have to become active at any time until the DM chooses that they're active. So you can start off with 1 living grave at the nearest point where the players drop into the cemetery to lead them to that living grave, to take that out for them to start understanding the environment and hazards that they're going to face while they're in that space. There's also free roaming undead, incorporeal undead. There's a boss lair inside of a crypt. There's and then there's an optional hidden passage that takes you underground. That if you're running a one-shot or a short-term adventure, opening up inside of the grave is a great idea. If the campaign is part of an if the adventure is part of an extended campaign, not including the I'm going to use this. Duplicate that group and kick it over to the monster squad, or the undead page that we're working on. Yeah, let's leave that in the here. There's that, and then there's that. Good zombie gore, good stuff. I think this was the wet that I enjoyed working with the most when we had first done it. Let's see. Gore check, spoiler alerts, watch out. All right. Sneeze. Let's see. That looks pretty good. Yellow teeth, huh? Makes sense. That looks pretty good. I like that. Yellowish. That yellowish keeps cropping up. Since I don't see any color, I have to use my RGB slider over here for me to know what's going on. That's got a redishness to it. Like if this green was up here like that, like I know that would be yellow, right? It's an unnatural yellow because it gives me the warning sign here that doesn't exist in nature. Watch out. But this seems to be a decent base color for bone. So we're gonna use that. Let's stitch that shut, and we'll go here to color, and yeah, like I said, we just do cell style shading, block all the color in underneath the line art, and we'll do preliminary detail work like lighting, shadow, and the color underneath the line art. And once we've got all the initial lighting put in on the flats, then we'll merge the line art to the color art, and we'll blend the line art into the color, so it feels less comic booky in a more like semi-realistic style. These large patches, this will be patches of black crystal. Hey, what's up? The blob, it's created from the undead energies of the plane of Mabar. Mabar is the plane of undeath, necrotic energy, and darkness. So things that go bump in the dark and want to eat your soul generally come from Mabar. And so the theme of the adventure is necromancers have obtained a powerful artifact that's made from the material of Mabar, and they use it in a ritual to create a manifest zone that overlays the world. So Mabar and Eberron merge. It's called co-terminating, if you aren't familiar with the term. And while the planes are co-terminated, the like aspects of the outer plane bleed into Eberron. Normally, it's pretty subtle. Like your advantage to maintain like if you're in the I forget the name of the plane of air, but Sharn, the significant metropolis that's detailed in the Eberron campaign setting, it's created inside of a manifest zone to the plane of it's not Irian. Hold on. Serania, the azure sky. This is the plane of just endless sky. Flying creatures, air elementals, stuff like that. So Serania, Sharn is built inside of a Serania manifest zone. So it always has a buoyant property to the air. Like the air tries to hold you aloft. So like maintaining concentration on like levitate and fly spells you maintain concentration with advantage on your roll, for instance. I think in 3rd edition you could amplify air and flying spells by 1 level for free, and yada yada yada. So like little manifestation stuff, but this ritual is being done with this artifact, the Eye of Mabar, and it specifically ramps the effects of Mabar in the material world inside of Manifest Zone. So it creates a Manifest Zone, and then it artificially amplifies it so that like you're like the Eberron forest where the ritual is taking place, the entire forest rots and turns into a necrotic swamp that the characters are exploring while they're trying to find the entrance to the underground facility where the ritual is taking place. I'm gonna just block the whole thing in, shield and everything with this base bone color. And so the necrotic energies are bleeding through, like it's terraforming the space inside the manifest zone. It's a 5-mile space that the manifest zone occupies, and all the soil gets converted to these black crystals, Mabaran crystals, that can be crushed into a powder to be used as material components for raising dead, like undead, animate dead, or casting darkness spells. So it's a material component that all you have to do is just like literally scrape the stuff off of the ground and then process it with alchemical supplies, and you have, it's incredibly expensive. Like a 5-foot area on the ground, if you process it, is worth 100 gold pieces. So every 5-foot space inside of this 5-mile manifest zone is slowly replaced with new necrotic material. And then all these exotic plants grow out of it, which could also be harvested, like to make poisons, get night vision, saving throw, like an antitoxins that you can brew with a healer's kit or alchemy tools pretty much in the field on the fly. You can also, the mist itself that gets generated by the manifest zone, it's basically just pollution coming in from the plane of Mabar through a nexus portal that's being formed. And when the ritual completes and the wizard gets converted into a Yugoloth, portal opens that the Yugoloth controls, and it can just basically pull undead and demons through Mabar into the material world, which is what this image is depicting, an undead horde that's been risen by the Yugoloth commander. That's the theme anyway. So that's the story that's happening here. Your characters are supposed to stop it. Good luck. And if they do, they can take over the research facility where this was being performed at. It's a black operation, like no records on file about this location. It has an entire military cemetery that's completely forgotten about, because long time ago, when this facility was first created and they first discovered the Eye of Mabar artifact, they built this place to research it, start developing the idea of necromancy as a military tool. So it has a lot of historical relevance for people that are interested in that sort of stuff in Eberron. You know, if you like making stuff up like that. And they all, the thing went wrong, so they all died. So they made this cemetery to honor the bodies that were lost, but also, in case of emergency, break glass, you can raise all of these soldiers as undead to, defend the nation or whatever. Well, it gets forgotten over time, but the Blood of Vol had military authority during the last war, and the Emerald Claw is all about the Blood of Vol. So, hold on real quick. Stitch that up real quick. So the wizard, his name is Solzu, who's performing the ritual, knows all these military secrets. So when the Blood of Vol fell out of grace at the end of the war, we don't need necromancers, we don't need undead anymore, the war is over, let's just go back to being normal people again. All these dudes got ostracized. So Solzu lost all his status, all his wealth, he's now on the run, potentially looking at war crimes. A big thanks a lot. So he uses the information that he had. Ader Academy is an archive of necrotic and black magic studies. So he knows a lot of secrets. So he knew about the artifact. So he stole the Eye of Mabar to start this operation, to gain some wealth and status amongst evil wizards. The Council of 12 is a mysterious organization of various spellcasters that he's trying to court to get onto the Council of 12. So by providing this manifest zone and the materials from it, he's hoping to basically buy his way onto the council. But while he's performing the ritual, he's trapped inside the chrysalis. So his second in command, Karen, spelled Karren, Karen, Karen's a bitch, and she hates Solzu. She's worked with him before in the past. She's a skilled enchantress, so he brought her on board. But when the ritual starts, she's just going to let him die inside the ritual. If you don't feed the ritual enough hit dice during the course of the ritual, the caster ends up dying, and the Yugoloth that grows inside, there's nothing left of Solzu. If Solzu can survive the ritual, he himself will be converted into a Yugoloth, and so the Yugoloth will have the intelligence and memories of Solzu's life, but all the power of a Yugoloth. So if this ritual completes the way that you want it to, basically a demonic entity is going to know all of the secrets of Aether Academy, all the access, all the things that are hidden there, and is going to basically beeline with a horde of undead to Aether Academy to take it over, to pillage it of all of its resources, and then go on to destroy the multiverse. That's kind of like the overall theme of threat that we're happening there, and your characters are there to stop it. Karen's going to stop it. She's going to let him die. Having a stupid Yugoloth instead of a knowledgeable Yugoloth is better. And she wants to gain authority and power as well, but she doesn't want to do it with Solzu. So she's going to let him die and replace him. So during the course of the process, the place goes dark for a little while as she starts taking control of the facility. And the Council of 12 has been funding Solzu because, like, hey, I can do this thing for you. They're like, okay, great. That sounds like a great investment. Let's do that. We'll see how it turns out. Well, it looks like those necromancers betrayed us. So they're going, one of the plots that you can use, instead of like solving, like preventing this from happening, you can play a wet work team that's in there specifically to assassinate all of the necromancers and then activate the teleportation circle that's been disabled so that a new replacement team can come in sent by the 12 to assume control of the facility and start the ritual over underneath their control without worrying about a third party. And you're done. So your job is just to get out. So if you did that as a one-shot, you just plane shift into the facility, kill them, activate the teleportation circle, and yeet out in about 3 hours. And then if you wanted to make that part of an ongoing campaign, the fallout is the 12 lose control of the ritual. And now you could come in as a replacement team or deal with the fallout of them failing. However you want to expand the campaign, which is how we spend time inside the document, talking about different types of creatures that are unleashed. So that's that. Long story short, too late, that's the adventure. You go in and try to solve it. So if you have a one-shot, there's the cemetery, right? That's basically a stockpile of bodies to be able to animate when needed. So if it's a one-shot, you can sneak in to the facility that way and shortcut a lot of the challenges that you, like all the social interactions, encounters like that. If you're just making a run and gun combat focused adventure, then you have all the tools that you need to do that. And I'm rambling a little bit, so I'm going to nip that. So again, we're using this as our base bone layer, and we're going to put flesh wherever we feel like there should be flesh. We're going to grab a flesh color and then drop those in next. So I'm just going across and just doing a blanket sweep, since we're all the undead are essentially the same, just separated by layers. I just want to go through and just do one layer at a time across all of the undead. But I think that's not nearly as entertaining. So we're going to be back on at 1:30 to work on the fighters for the martial power system. I'm going to rearrange my seat. There we go. And then I'll have a 4-some-odd hour break. I'll end the stream at 9 o'clock, which will be in about an hour from now. And how's my timer looking? I need to take a drink. I can feel I'm risking dehydration. There we go. Yeah, let's take some water. And I'm going to pick me up with a little bit of coffee. For every cup of coffee, you need 2 cups of water. That'll keep you hydrated. You need 1 cup of water to counteract the effects of the caffeine. And the second cup is just to make sure you're getting the right amount of water over the course of the day, despite the coffee. So swig 1, swig 2, swig 1, swig 2. It's kind of the cadence you got to go with coffee. Otherwise, you risk dehydration. But I'm going to block in these 3. And then we'll go back and we'll do all the layers. So you don't watch me just coloring in like this over and over again. And if I get... and then when we... Yeah, we'll just bounce back and forth. Since we now have this as a base color for Undead, we can add in the next layer. So let's go back up to here. Let's add in another layer. We're going to look at our reference here. And there we go. There's some skin tone. So let's go find... that's probably going to be really, really close in tone to the bone that we already have. Yeah, that is crazy close. That's too close. I need to pick something different. Here. That's lighter. So that should do okay. Yeah, I can see the difference there. So we're gonna go here wherever we're seeing these like little these patches, like these crystals are gonna be growing out of the rotten flesh. So this will get covered over with black, like a glossy black. But for now, I wanna, yeah, we can leave that off like that. Fill this in here. And then we'll have like wet work inside. The basically fill in the gap. So we did the base bone layer as a means of just establishing a base color to separate the background from this form primarily, and then secondarily, like these little gaps in between the bones, we can fill that in with like that wet blooded organ look, and then we have like organs that are dripping out of its body here. We can fill that in with organ color as well. But here on the exterior, we still have ribbons of flesh that are clinging to its form that we can then bleed into. Oops, I am using the same layer. There we go. Go back to the right layer. Like that. And then we have a little bit of flesh here, some here, and then this drips down here, and then some of this flesh will end up being slicked over with bloody bloody meat. Let's see. I also want to have. Let's go back up here. Looking good, my dude. Looking good. Yeah, we'll be able to put in a lot of that. We can grab some of that coloration when we work it. I'm trying to find some metal bits. Gory zombie! Hello, gory zombie! You out of the way. There. And I need some sort of a weapon reference. So let's go back to here and see if we can find any. Let's see. Undead, Plague Hounds, Plague Oak, Revenants, Shadow Mastiff, Sturge, Whites. There we go. Got kind of a purplish vibe going. Bluish. Nah, I don't think that's the one I want to use. Let's see. This is a boss fight sort of dude. It's just a massive set of armor that's been animated by an angry spirit, a headless warrior, as it were. Let's see. Do I like that? Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. So for now, let's use, I can leave that up. For now, let's go down to here and add in a metal layer. This metal. Nice. Here. We've exceeded our there we go. I can push that out a little bit. How's that looking on screen? I had to nudge that a little bit. Yeah, okay. Seems okay. So now we have a gear layer, and flesh is fine. Let's see. Thinking things through. Okay, and let's grab, yeah, some reddishness. I don't want to have that red out there. I want to keep the red in the interior space. And I think we can have I think we'll have a faded off of that corpse picture that we're looking at. We can probably BS our way in with. And somehow I've decided to make that the same layer. So let's fix that real quick. Let's go back to our reference here. And no, let's just go back here and grab some more flesh. I'll put fleshy bits down around here. That feels good. I wanted to avoid that. For some reason, I want to avoid that on the limbs and the outer body. Let's go back, before I get myself in trouble, let's go back and pull reference. Yeah, I think that's what I wanted. Good transition between the interior meat and the skin. Yeah, we'll start be able to blend things together like that. This is going to look pretty good. There. And let's see, what's the next thing we want to do? Let's go with wet and flesh, bone. Fleshy bits. Let's go with the wet inside. here. Nope, wrong color. There. I already want to start blending stuff together. It feels pretty good. Let's stay on this because it's fun. Let's see. Okay, and then the last bit that we really need to worry about is bone, flesh, gear, and then crystal. I'm just going to go with all black just to fill it in, and then we're going to drop the opacity a bit to give it some transparency so we can see through to the line underneath, so it's not just a mass. But for now, I want specifically to just be a mass while we fill in the color. Block it in, as it were. These crystals grow on anything that's wet, including skin, eyes, throat. So you get this stuff in, it becomes an infection. It will kill you. And then you'll come back as an undead. Anything that dies in the manifest zone becomes undead within 24 hours. Of an equal CR. So if you're a CR 1/4 soldier, when you die, you'll come back as a zombie. If you are a CR6, if you are a CR3 veteran, you'll come back as a white. CR4 scouts come back as revenants, etc., etc. One of the optional encounters in here is running across. Since there's 6 plot lines, there's like 6 potential ways to approach the adventure, and presumably your characters have one of them. Like one of the things, like whatever your campaign's doing, surely one of the plot hooks that we provide is going to fit into the scenarios that you got going on. But the point is that that leaves 5 plot hooks unattended or unaccounted for. So if you want, one of the option is to have a different adventure, like a different plot hook active inside your adventure that NPCs are attempting to perform. So you have rivals that are running around with alternate goals, but are their own characters. But in this scenario, they've already been killed. So they come back as revenants with the goal of either taking out the facility or replacing the necromancers and activating the teleportation circle. So you have like this, because revenants are just they're intelligent undead that come back because they have a mission to perform that didn't get fulfilled. So revenants fit perfectly into this scenario of being around, and they'll either help or fight the party depending on if they run across them. Obviously, the DM wants to insert an additional layer of social interaction and complexity into the adventure. So you are perfectly able to do that. So, but instead of us providing you like a bunch of NPC handouts, which we could provide alternate, like pre-generated characters, but the idea is that instead of having the pre-gen characters, they're all dead. So now you just have the Revenant Undead block that you can implement anytime you want to have a different crew, introduce a different element. Revenants are such great undead NPCs to introduce in situations like that. They're just perfect. There. I'm going to drop the opacity on that a little bit just to have a little bit easier visibility on what's going on with the line underneath it. There we go. Nice. I am pretty happy with that. Let's see. Okay, I guess we can start doing. We'll just start adding lighting on this one, just so you guys can see what this will end up looking like. So let's go back to. Well, the easiest thing to do is just to work on the metal. So we'll work here and here. Grab our highlights and shadow. And we'll go, those are the crystals. Here's our gear. We'll add in a layer for the shadow, and then we'll add in a layer for the highlights. So shadow like that. Shadow like that. Shadow like that. Shadow there, and then highlight over it. And highlight over here. I need to go with there. There we go. That'll work. Oh, you kidding? merge these layers together and just blend in. What are we using? We got a cloud brush going. I think I want to use my wedge tool. It's better at pushing. It's better at pushing pixels around in a straight line. The cloud brush is good for smudging and blurring, but this tool is pretty good about pushing straight form inside of space. So we're going to leave the line art separated for now. We're just blending the shadow, base, and highlight colors that we selected. And once we're content with it, we'll merge the line art into the word I'm looking for. I'm going to grab that color over there. Yeah, and it'll just blend it in. And all this makes sense. Yeah, that feels good. And then merge that down. We'll blend this together. Come on, buddy. There you go. These beat up edges will look a lot better once we blend the line art into the lighting that we're doing. Fade that out down there. Punch some holes in this stuff like that. Rough it up. Highlight over here to add a ding in, a little bit of dingage going on over here. There. There, like that. I love texturing. It is so fun, just throwing in little details like that. shape up a little bit. And some more rough texture. Nope, nope. Nope, wait. There. Probably have to get rid of that line. What's up? Hey, what's up, Mr. Fantastic? We are painting Undead. In the process of Undead, and as Yugoloth Commander, we have our army Horde. So we are going through the process of adding in color and some detail. So we've got a slew. We got like 7 guys in the front line. Then I'm going to do similar treatment to, and then we have a second rank here. I'll show you. So here's our Undead army in general. So we're going to do the color on all of these guys. I will do far less detail on the ones that are further back. And then we'll add in the mist, the necrotic fog effect that'll come in through all their legs and separate the layers from each other with a little bit of desaturation as we push our way back. But we got to get the front end guy with the most, so this guy will be the most detailed of all of them. So we're spending all of our time right now to basically set the pace of how much detail can be in this piece. So anything that's further away than this point is going to naturally have less detail and less saturation. So as it gets pushed back from the screen. So taking the time to build this out, bop, 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 burp. 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 So we're working on gear right now. We are on Thursday. We're going to continue with the Bastion campaign builds that we've been working on. That supplements. We've gotten through the initial. The initial functionality of all of the facilities and the structure of how basically the Bastion campaigns work. The next step for us is to go in and start building out like perks and unique functions of each facility in that are listed for the Bastions, and so that's what we're going to be doing on Thursday, and then probably on Saturday. And then we've been playtesting the martial power system. So we'll be... yesterday I started in on updating the barbarian subclasses. We've ran a number of sessions since I've updated the base document. So we've gotten some interesting mechanical feedback and potential like quality of life improvements for the system. So that means I have to go through all the subclasses for all the martial characters and update them accordingly, and also verify if any of the powers that we've changed, we've changed the level of some of them and removed some and blended in others. So there's been some changes. So we have to go through and look at what all still exists and what needs to be updated for each of the subclasses. So like later on today at lunch, well, we worked on the base scaffold of the barbarian and the subclasses that are in the 2024 book for the barbarian yesterday. So today we're going to review and go over the fighter revisions that we made, and go through the subclasses in the new player's handbook for the fighter. And then on Friday we'll do the monk. Saturday we'll probably do both. We'll probably finish the monk and then continue working on the Bastion campaign supplement. And then I'm not sure what next week's going to look like, but yeah, we're bouncing between martial powers updates and the Bastion campaign book on the side. While obviously this is our primary project, so we continue working on the Eberron adventure in the mornings with all the artwork. Yeah, and then life goes on. I don't know. Was that a good answer? Was that sufficient? I'm going to expand this out a little bit so I can blend it a little bit easier. Push up the opacity, or the strength. There's no opacity in smudge brushes. There's strength of push. And I want to get this blended in. I'm not liking that highlight down here. It's looking a little weird. So I want to blend this out and like flatten it. Simplify the form. I don't know. Oh, there it is. I'm going to get rid of that. There, that line art wasn't doing me any favors on this piece right now. So now I have that cleared out of the way, I can start to homogenize this a little bit more. Whatever happened to that Spelljammer mech? That is, it's out there. I need to, it's maybe about, the concepts are about 60% done. I haven't published it. I need to play test it. I'm a little crowded right now on activities, so I needed to simplify my my workbench for the moment. I put out a lot of ideas and did a lot of work on a lot of different things, but I have too many. I have too many irons in the fire. It was starting to cool the flame, so I had to pull back a little bit. So once we finish sweeping through the martial powers document one time, we will be going back to the Spelljammer stuff. So I have basically three things that are going on right now. We got the Bastion campaigns, we have the martial powers redesign, and we have Spelljammer stuff. And of Spelljammer, we have subclasses, which are informed by what we update with the martial power system. So those feed into each other. And we have the Mecha Kaiju book. So those are still out there. You can still look at the playtest documents that I have in the videos that we're doing. Those are readily available for people to look at, but I haven't developed them much further over the. I think I had like a session maybe like 2 weeks ago that I was updating the subclasses and just the general mecha design in like the base model of it. But it works. It's just another choke point that I have is I want to update the language for the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration document that we published that the Mecha book feeds into. But that needs to be updated with revisions for 2024, and I don't have the bandwidth right now to do it. So I'm throwing out ideas and getting things composed so that I can start looking at how can I break down my time and prioritize these different pieces. So the Eberron adventure is the primary project that I'm working on. So all my off-screen time is spent on page layouts and developing assets for this adventure. But once I'm able to clear that, I'll be able to. I have all these other projects that are pent up, that are all anxious to gain attention. So. Get rid of that. Timely timer. So yeah, I'm anxious. I am very, very anxious to get a hold of that. I absolutely. You're cooking. We're all cooking here, buddy. No, you don't owe me anything. Just thanks for asking. Thanks for caring enough to ask it all in the first place. But those are the crystals. There we go. Our gear. It all gets done. All my stuff eventually gets done. I've got like a dozen books down below that's verification that all these things I aspire to eventually get completed. It's just I am not a studio. I am just a guy. I'm just one guy who occasionally hires an editor to help out with locking stuff down. But it's a slow, tedious grind. So the threat of me burning out is massive. So I like to have a bunch of projects I can all push. So like if the energy pulls away, it's like I'm frustrated with this particular project. Well, I can take a mental break from it and go start hammering on something else instead. So if I have a bunch of stuff that are always at different stages of completion, when the inspiration hits, I'll start accelerating one of them to get it closer to done, and always be able to back off. Burnout is like my biggest enemy is burnout, because if I get burned out, I can't work on any of them. And if I stay focused on one individual piece, it's to push it out. Like if all I did was Eberron all the time for like 6 months straight, it would just I would hate the thing. I've had that happen to me before. That I was experiencing that with the color mana system that I was developing. I hit burnout on that, and I had to take a break for a couple months, which sucked because that slowed down the overall production. I would have been much better to have just used those 2 months that broke to instead just take that time and disperse it amongst other types of projects. So I might not be working on it today or tomorrow, but the next day I'll be like, yeah, I want to get back to that. And then I start diving back into it. Meanwhile, those past 2 days, I was still able to move forward with something. So I don't do small projects. They're all like comprehensive conversion systems. Like you can run your campaign completely different if you utilize these mechanics. Here's 40 pages on how all the caveats and all the little nuances are actually going to work or make or be better as a result of this thing. Go. So like every little stupid little detail is like it's a lot. I'm rambling. Good. This is starting to look pretty good. More highlights up here. The creation process works in various stages. First, you have to have the ideation and start to be able to put it down into an understandable document, and sometimes that's as far as it needs to go for now. I've got a ton of projects that have got like 6 or 7 pages, and that's it. That I haven't even shared with you guys, like whether I get to it or not. There's a bunch of Theros stuff. There's different campaign proposals, like how to modify different adventures that Wizards published. Lots of different stuff. And it all has its time, and it all has a different purpose for like your internal story, what's happening for you as an individual that's evolving. Evolution is never a straight line. It is crazy. Sometimes, like I took a a 3-year break from artwork while I was getting into financial licensing, like mortgages, investments, and stuff like that, as a possible career path. And it did, in the end, it didn't jive with me. But the time that I spent, like, learning that content, I think made me a little bit more just knowledgeable as a person. Like, how does life work? And if I hadn't taken the break, I don't know when I would have attained that information. So it was a necessary step in my process, even though it felt like a tangent. It filled in gaps of knowledge and like of how, like, life works in America, which I think ended up making me a lot more savvy about just taking care of myself and looking to the future. But that was a necessary step for me to be able to become who I am. So then I become excited about painting again, and I dive back into it, and, you know, been streaming pretty consistently for years now. There. Nope. Let's go back to here. Like that. Good. You blend that in. What's up? Yeah, it's just we don't know. We don't know what we're baking. You know, we have an idea of who we are and who we could become, but we don't know what we're actually going to do with this life. And it's those little moments of discovery. Like, what am I doing? Oh, that's super cool. Like, I didn't connect the dots in the beginning, but the further back you look, your narrative about yourself changes. And the things that you remember about yourself just kind of get baked into the equation of, like, who am I? You know, and you're always retconning your own internal story about who you are and where you came from and what does this mean to me and why did I do that and how did that change me and who have I become? And we are our own greatest adventure. There. See, that's a decent little beat up shield. Now I'm going to add another layer here. To fade that, I'm going to switch to my cloud brush to smudge it. This is a great smudging tool here. This easily works that stuff in. So I have this guitar pick shape that lets me push, like shove, like shoving through a water, create wakes. And then I have this cloud brush that lets me smudge it all. So I'll use the two together often in that sequence, like the smudgy, the pick, and then the cloud. And we're going to drop mist over this, the necrotic fog. That's going to blend out this corner and this lower bits. So this amount of detail probably isn't even necessary at this point, but I wanted to include it because even though the fog might cover up some of this form, we know it's there, and we want to make sure that the physics are good in case someone else catches sight of it somehow. Got to represent. I just hope I get to stay on this planet long enough to get get a lot of these ideas out of my head. I would be happy if I die content with the things that I've produced. If I die sooner, I'm going to feel cheated. I'll feel cheated. So we're just going to make as much stuff as I can for as long as I can. Yeah, that's starting to look pretty damn good. I'm really happy with this. This is the process. And we haven't even blended the artwork. We haven't even blended the line art in yet. So it's going to look pretty damn good when we get to it. Put this little puncture wound in here. Scattered texture like that. There. Oh, right on, my guy. Well, I really appreciate you. Thanks a lot. You are always welcome. If you want to kick into my Discord at some point and just say hey or whatever, you are welcome there as well. And I will see you on the flip side, my dude. Yeah, thanks. It's just, I'll be here. This is where I'm at. Thanks for swinging in, Fantastic. Hell yeah, dude. Have you? I don't know what your name is then. Some people have multiple names. It's kind of hard to keep track. Anyway, no insultment. Oh, right on. Anyway, get out of here, dude. Cheers. There we go. That feels pretty good. That feels pretty damn good. I like how that looks. Like that. See that fog effect comes through, but now you can see like the wispiness of it more. This is gonna end up looking really fucking cool when it's done. This is gonna be very, very cool. I am Very so looking forward to this. What happens if I deplete that a bit? God damn, that feels good. That feels really, really good. All right, here's this. What are you? Oh, that's open space. Nice. Oh, that's somebody else. Okay, got it. I see it now. Let's get rid of that dude and that dude. There, that'll make it easier for us to understand. And now that we have the now that we have the base form outlined, we should remove the excess line space. So we'll go back up into the lines here. This seems like the right thing to do right now. Drop that together. Pull that in here. This is what needs to be removed now. To help simplify everything. And clean up all the grit. Let's go up here and hide the filigree too. Where is this coming in from? There it is. Out here is what's important. There, like that. Get rid of all this excess drag. Is that all good? Looks like everything's playing inside the lines now, the way that I want it to. Cool. And out here, there we go. There we go. And once we get these layers blended in, I'll be able to erase these little speckles that are all over the place as well. But everything is proper course. So the lines are cleaned up a bit better there. That was necessary. And let's see. Should probably flesh out that shield. What time is it? Oh, it's 9 o'clock. Nope. That's it. We're going to go ahead and stop for now. I've got a schedule I'm trying to keep today. So we'll cut out now. We're going to be back tomorrow morning around 6:30 a.m. Seattle Pacific time or 9:30 East Coast New York time. We'll continue working on the Undead here. I'm going to take a break here for a slew of hours. I'll be back in 4.5 hours to work on the martial powers, continuing to develop the fighter base class structure and the subclasses that are in the Player's Handbook 2024. We'll update all that stuff, make sure it's copacetic. And yeah, I'm looking forward to coming back and working on this again tomorrow. And then the next day, and the next day, and the next week, and the next day, and the next day, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, thanks a lot for being here, guys. I will see you. Hopefully, I'll see some of you guys around in 4.5 hours to check that stuff out. Like, subscribe if you think this stuff is cool, and be welcome to join my Discord community. Link down below. Check out my books. See you on the other side. Thanks a lot.